Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
Listen, I'm easy to find.
And then they can kiss my ass.
What's going on, YouTube? I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. Welcome to another episode of Picnic Sports Talk. Before we get into the video, there's a few things I would like to say up front. Washington Mystics lost tonight, so that recap will go live tomorrow. I'm going to record that episode. I'm going to record that. I'm also going to record Game 4 of the NBA Finals recap and preview for Game 5 of the NBA Finals. I'm going to record those episodes. As you have seen the title of the video, Willie Sneed made some comments on the podcast recently, and I really wanted to make sure that I digested everything that I read and I processed it thoroughly. I also wanted to sleep on it. I wanted to make sure that I said all the right things. I didn't want to come across as some Raven fan that's in denial. Let me say this. The Baltimore Ravens are a good team. The Ravens have an issue where I'm going to steal, and I'm going to quote another person on YouTube here. The Ravens like to copy and paste. There's no plan B. It showed against the Miami game last year. And Willie Sneed's comments really drive the point about the philosophy. We can point to Greg Roman and Hay needs to go and all these different things like that. But this has been an issue before Greg Roman has even stepped foot in Baltimore. So I want to read the letter. I'm going to read the interview that he had. And I want you to hear everything that was said. I feel like everything was said with honesty. There was no place of hate. He was just being honest. So, on the podcast that he was on, he said, and I quote, "When the Ravens made the transition from Joe Flacco to Lamar Jackson, that's when they really started to leaning on the run and Lamar's running ability. I still finished that year leading the team in catches, but the 2 years after that, it was overwhelmingly like 70% run and 30% pass. It wasn't a slot-friendly offense." Now, he talked about route run and route concepts. When comparing Greg Roman to a Sean Payton offense or a Greg Roman to a John Gruden offense, it's like night and day. There's a lot of more creativity in the passing game. If the Ravens had more creativity in the passing game and they would put more emphasis on it during the season, I think more wide receivers would be open to coming. Because Lamar is a great player to play with, he's all about the team. He's fun. He brings the energy every single day. You want to play with quarterbacks like that. But the system pushes guys away. That's why the Ravens are always drafting 2 receivers every year. They keep them young. They keep them locked in on contracts. But for an older veteran guy coming in, he might get one shot to do this. I don't know if the Ravens are going to be that one shot away from them unless you are a tight end or a big body receiver who can win those 50-50 balls. Okay. Now, that I have no issue with him saying that. Historically, the Baltimore Ravens have always been a run-first team. Before Greg Roman stepped in it, that's always been the Ravens' philosophy. The Baltimore Ravens have to make adjustments, have to adapt. But you can't stick to the same game plan because guess what's going to happen? Defensive coordinators, week in and week out, are going to catch on to what you're doing. Now, this notion that Lamar's the reason that guys don't want to come here, that's not the case. Willie Sneed made that clear. It's the system. The system is condensed to Lamar's abilities. But I'm gonna keep it honest. When Joe Flacco was starting, that offense, for the most part, was atrocious. I don't think you can win games with Willie Sneed, that type of offense. And Joe Flacco, let's just keep real, he wasn't the same quarterback. Now, I do think that the playbook has to be opened. That is where we can agree on. Because I just, to the point where I'm getting annoyed hearing he can't throw the ball, he can't do this, he can't do that, when obviously, let's keep it real. Do I question at times his decision-making in the pocket? Absolutely. Do I think he has to use his feet all the time? No. But I harped to last year. Great example. When your number one wide receiver, who let's keep it real, did not want to be here, makes it clear it was not the system for him. When your number one wide receiver has 146 drops, that's a problem. Then the guy you drafted last year in the first round for 6 or 7 games wasn't there. Then we had an issue. There's this divide of starting the young guys, not starting them. I think I'm a believer that you have to mix up the playbook. I don't think passing the ball, it's like shooting threes in the NBA. You live by the three, you die by the three. I think if you just rely on the pass and you don't mix up your playbook, that's going to come back to bite you. Let's keep it real. When you look at the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, they should have beat the Bengals. But all they did was they took Tyreek out the game where they doubled him, and you didn't have a reliable receiver, whether it was Miko Hartman, Pringle, or Kelsey. You could have ran the ball. You could have done other things. Do I think running the ball wins the game? No, because when it comes playoff time, the game's always slow down. But you have to learn how to mix the playbook. But let me get back to this letter. Now, this interview. Now, he talked about Hollywood Brown. He said, and I quote, he had to do what was best for him, and I don't blame him. He's been frustrated the past couple of seasons. He had a contract coming up, and he wants to put himself in the best position to get paid. Now, he made that clear. I don't think he's going to be the number one wide receiver now that DeAndre Hopkins is going to be out for 6-7 weeks. I'm not sold on the Cardinals. I'm not sold on them entirely. I'm not sold on Kyler Murray, even though he gets his guy back. Now we get to see what he's made of. Eric DeCosta made it clear. He wanted to keep him. He wanted to pick up the fifth-year option, and he said, cool. He respected it and give the Ravens their respect. They kept it in-house. They didn't make a fuss about it. Now, he also went on and talked about comparing Sean Payton's offense to Greg Roman's offense. And I quote, a lot more motion shifting and trying to create matchups. Get those one-on-one matchups in space. I know Sean wasn't big into play action off the run game, but he'll get into that empty set and go 5 wide and start throwing the different types of concepts at you that make defenses start to bite, and here comes a wide open hole across the middle. That's game plan specific. Greg Roman is just more run heavy. He's got misdirection. He's got play action. He's got power game. He'll be one hell of a run game coordinator in somebody's offense. But I think the passing game just needs a bit more juice. And that goes back to coaching. How can we open up the playbook? Now, I do think that Keith Williams and T. Martin, I think, will have more hands on the play calling. But Greg Roman does need to get his wide receivers involved. I'm just of the believer that, again, it goes back to the philosophy. I just don't think it's not been with Lamar. And this has been historically since the Ravens came in the town. This is nothing new. But I get it. You can fire Greg Roman tomorrow. You bring in a Gary Kubiak, you bring in any offensive coordinator, still gonna have the same philosophy. Nothing will change. That's fact. You can point, Anquan Bolden, Torrey Smith. Before that, Derek Mason, Mark Clayton, they were good wide receivers. But we have Randy Hines, Travis Taylor, Brandon Stokely didn't get an opportunity, Quadri Ishmael, Patrick Johnson. The Ravens have never historically invested in wide receivers. Why? Because their defense, Jamal Lewis, and that running game. That's it. This is nothing new. Now, we continue. He talked about the play calling. The tight ends need to get more creativity than wide receivers. I don't want to say the play calling in itself, but when you're put in plays versus certain defenses, you know what certain stuff is going to work and what isn't going to work. So every week has to be a brand new game plan for this specific team. Now, if you're just copying and pasting from one week to the other, you've seen the NFL, these defensive coordinators are great. So if they see something once and see it twice, they're going to lock in on that, and you probably won't be able to get it that time. You've got to be able to shift guys around, have different motions to make it look like one thing completely different. Let me repeat that last part again. Now, if you're just copying and pasting from one week to the other, you see in the NFL, these defensive coordinators are great. If you're just copying and pasting from one week to the other, you see in the NFL, these defensive coordinators are great. What am I saying, ladies and gentlemen? Greg Roman, that offense, there's no, great example, that Miami game. Miami defense, all they showed was cover zero blitz. Were there any adjustments in that game? No. They stick to one thing. There's no, if play A doesn't work, I don't have play B or C. That's something that has to be fixed. And I think John Harbaugh addressed that in the press conference a couple months ago, where the adjustments had to be made. I think that's where it had to happen. Now, I think also, too, let's keep it rolling on the defensive side of the ball as well, because I think also, too, Willie Sneed kind of really told the Ravens about themselves. The philosophy on the defensive side of the ball didn't work either. If you're and let me actually pull this up, because last year Martindale, I think is a great coordinator. I think had this mentality of, I'm just going to use, where am I at? Kevon Seymour, Chris Winstry, what was his name? I'm looking. Robert Jackson, dudes, Kevin Tolliver, dudes off the street. He was leaving those guys on islands. You didn't have Marcus Peters. You didn't have Marlon Humphrey for up until I think it was I can't remember which week it was he got hurt. But on the defensive side of the ball, I didn't see any adjustments being made. I saw the same type of defense, basically copied and pasted out there, leaving guys getting exposed. I mean, no disrespect to those guys. I mean, they held their own, but no. But let me get back to the rest of it. So you've got to be able to shift guys around and have different motions to make it look like one thing, and that's completely different. These are the type of coaches that take it to the next level. like Sean McVay, like Matt LaFleur, excuse me. Those guys put guys in positions. These types of coaches take it to the next level. So not only are we going at Greg Roman, we're looking at Coach Harbaugh. Now, look, I love Coach. I think Harbaugh is a great coach. But sometimes also, too, you have got to understand that, man, as a coach, I got to take some responsibility on that. Because I'm gonna keep going back to the philosophy. It's old and it needs to be replaced like a filter. It needs to be changed. But at the same time, also as well, he also closed out by saying they'll shift and motion guys to identify that matchup and then explode it. These are the offenses that I would like to be in, and I know Hollywood is in that spot now, where you can showcase all your talent on your passing game, not just the run game. See, that's more of a self-reflective Greg Roman. I mean, the last guy that eclipsed before Hollywood brought 1,000 yards was Mike Wallace. The only guy I think to eclipse over, I think Michael Jackson, not the singer, wide receiver. I think he had like 1,200 yards. I mean, to keep pointing the finger at Lamar Jackson all you want to, but if you're not thinking about the system and looking like, well, why can the system be upgraded? Why can it not be changed? Because I look at the wide receivers we have signed since Lamar has been under center. Sammy Watkins, Seth Roberts, Des Bryant. I mean, they're okay. But it's not, the system's not wide receiver friendly. I mean, and also too, Steve Smith's talked about it. Kurt Warner's talked about it. I mean, that's really interesting. And then he also goes into, during his time in Baltimore, he said, in it, I was just having fun. We had great teammates. I just maximized my role for what they wanted me to do. I came to work every day being that professional, leading the young guys. And we were winning games at the time. I'm all about the team. It's one thing to be winning games and you contribute here and there. It's another to lose games. It's a different feeling. When you're winning, everything's good. I think that 2019, 2020 year, I knew my role in the offense. It wasn't going to be anything different. I just had to do what I had to make it work. When you got great players around you in the run game and the passing game, you just want to find a place to help the team. That's what Baltimore has always been about, team, team, team. When I went there, I fit into the mold. I was a vet, so guys leaned on me in certain situations. But I always came to work and ready to go. I didn't have an attitude. Whenever I had 5 catches here or 2 catches in the last game, I just knew every week was a new week, a new opportunity coming. That's how you have to look at it. Whenever team, you have to go. You have to have that mindset. Every week is a new week, and your opportunity is going to be the next opportunity. That always keeps me in it. And some of the rest of the podcast was pretty good, but I thought some of the things he said pretty much, I had no issue with it. I understand his frustrations, but at the end of the day, look, John Harbaugh said it too. If you're about your numbers and different things like that, then this is not the team for you. But at the same time, as a coach, as a team, you have to look at your philosophy. What can I do to make guys happy? Because I shouldn't have to draft guys and, okay, well, to have your first round pick after 2 seasons go, since his sophomore year ago, don't want to be here. That says a lot about us as a team. Now, again, Will we see a different what kind of offense? I don't know. But I will say this. They are locked in on Greg Roman's offense. And I hate to say this, whether we like it or not, like just like shooting threes, you live by the three, you die by the three. And just going to have to accept that. If it fails, it fails. But at the end of the day, this goes back to when the Baltimore Ravens came into town in 1996. This is nothing new. This is before Lamar Jackson became a quarterback. The Baltimore Ravens are always a run-first, defensive-first team. The Baltimore Ravens never truly invested in offense until Joe Flacco really came to Baltimore. Never really invested in that. Greg Roman, since his time in San Francisco, I've noticed that he's really found it hard to create a dynamic offense. And I'm hoping with the young guys, Bateman, Duvernay, Poche, Wallace, he really maximizes their talent. Because I just don't really think it should always just be about the run game. You got to mix it up. That's just me. And going to have to I'm really curious to see what this year looks like. But what Willie Sneed said, he wasn't wrong. I would have liked to just say, I'm not going to go there. I'll leave that alone. But, I mean, I just don't know. I really, really want to see a different type of offense out there. But I'm really hoping that Greg Roman and them really, really made the adjustments. He said you have to adapt. We'll see. We'll see. But this is before, again, I'm going to keep saying it. This is nothing new because now it's starting to show. Yeah, it's easy to put the finger at Greg Roman because he can be the scapegoat. But when you're not looking at the team's philosophy, that's another. And listen, I can be mad all I want to about guys not coming here. Yeah, as I said, a guy like Jarvis Landry didn't come here. Sure. Does the media also dictate where guys should go or without a shadow of a doubt? I mean, think about it. There was something I saw on Twitter. The reason why Tyreek Hill wanted out, and it went back to week 4. I think week 4, week 5. When we played them, and Tyreek Hill was complaining. Let me back up. Was not happy with the number of catches he was getting. That's another issue, but that's another subject for another video. I want you to think about that. Your number one wide receiver in that offense is unhappy because of one game, not happy about the touches he got on the ball. But it's an issue where we can't get guys here to Baltimore. Sometimes, look, he made it clear. Willie said it's about the team. This is not about I. That's kind of the issue with these guys today. I think people don't really want to recognize. This is not a individual. This is a team effort. We're here to win football games. It ain't about you. John Harbaugh said it. If you're about your numbers, your stats, this is not the team for you. He's made that clear, and that's just been the philosophy. It's always been team first. But do I have concerns going into the season with this offense? Absolutely. Do I think Lamar Jackson's going to have his struggles? Yes. Will I see some adjustments on the offense? Yes. Do I think Greg Roman will make the adjustments? Yes. Do I think Greg Roman learned from the mistakes from last year? Absolutely. They got the guys that he wanted to fit his offense. Let's see what it looks like out there. So I'm not going to ignore the things I saw last year. I saw a crappy offensive line. I saw 3 running backs go down with injury, and you're bringing on guys off the street. I'm also not going to ignore that your number 1 wide receiver really was not reliable in certain situations. Another first round wide receiver was injured half the season, and your starting quarterback went down. So I'm not going to ignore those things. Now let's see what they look like healthy. Let's see what Isaiah Likely looked like in this offense. A Nick Boyle, healthy. J.K. Dobbins, healthy. Gus Edwards, healthy. Rashard Bateman, healthy. Duvernay, Poche. Let's see what these guys look like on the field together before we become jury and become the jury. Go, see, that offense is not going to work. See what it looks like. Because I'm going to end it off by saying this. I'm a believer in passing and running the ball. They have their pluses and their negatives. It's up to you as the coach to make the adjustments. But you cannot keep the same system game play week by week. Because defensive coordinators today, they're going to catch on that. The Miami game was an example of that. And since then, after that, the Ravens look like a shell of themselves. I really hope that as a team, coaching-wise and player-wise, from that game, really did a self-evaluation on that. But in conclusion, I had no issue with what Willie Sneed said. I don't. There's nothing wrong with mixing up the playbook. But there's also, there's some accountability that needs to be taken. And John Harbaugh seemed to have taken it. Greg Roman seems to have taken it. But let me see what these guys look like on the field. I'm not panicking. I'm not worrying. I think the offense is going to have its ups and its downs this year. But I think the offense is going to look better. Let's see what it looks like. Because nothing wrong with running the ball. I'm just kidding. Let's see what it looks like. All right. That's all I wanted to say. With that being said, if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. I'll see y'all on the other side. Good night.
Listen, I'm easy to find.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.
And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.